Hello, everybody. While the days of meeting face-to-face may be on pause, our opportunity to connect fortunately knows no bounds. I'm actually imagining all of us together today, and me on the famed TEDxFurman stage, and you comfortably seated in plush velvet seats. At least that's my hope. In those seats, I'm going to go a step further and say that I imagine a diverse group of men, women, college students, a few parents who let them in, rebels, introverts, and extroverts. And while all of us that I just described are incredibly different people, I'm guessing that we probably have a few shared experiences, though, regardless of so much uniqueness that's out there among us. So I'm going to say a few things and be honest here. I want you to nod if you've heard them, and I want you to simply raise your hand if you may have said them or said something similar. Are you ready? I know you might be by yourself. If you're in a group, even better, but just walk with me here. Okay. The phrase, grow a pair. Wow, you missed that putt by a mile. Did you hit it with your purse? Boy, she cried like a girl in a dirty dress. And then my favorite here, be honest. Hey guys. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of hands out there with that last one specifically. And as you see, mine included. Harmless, right? These are just words, but are they? Let me back up just a bit. 2 years ago, at about this time, basketball season, the Cedar Rapids Washington High School varsity women's basketball team was undefeated and ranked. Now, this team hadn't been here in years, and I know this because I've had two daughters play for the Washington Warriors. And on this particular night, this is mid-season, there is a ton of excitement. And it was the toughest opponent that our Warrior women had seen yet. It was the powerhouse Iowa City West. And West is best. Just ask them. There was even more excitement, though, for the women's team because tonight was a doubleheader. Do you remember those? The gym would be packed. The women play at 6, the men play at 7:30. So I'm just racing to get there from work. 6 o'clock was truly pushing it on a work day. But when I got there, the parking lot, and keep in mind this was pre-COVID, was pretty empty. We're used to empty parking lots now, but that was not the case back then, but that was the case on this particular night. So I make my way in thinking just in time for the national anthem. Though once I get in there, there's no national anthem, but a few observations. I must have missed the anthem because they were just beginning the starting lineups for the teams. And the gym, sadly, was like the parking lot. It was pretty empty. I mean, it had the usual suspects like me, other parents, grandparents, maybe some friends, a few girlfriends and boyfriends, but this is a double header, right? So I mentioned my surprise to my husband, who nonchalantly and fairly matter-of-factly says, it's the 6 o'clock game. People don't come this early. And I thought, he's right. I struggled to get here. I just told you that. And then I think about it even further. Well, what usually happens at 6 o'clock on game night? Yeah, I'm hearing you. It's the JV time slot, junior varsity. And there's nothing wrong with JV. It's just not undefeated, ranked women's varsity. So these women, this undefeated and ranked team, despite their incredible record and undeniable effort and commitment, got the JV slot for all intents and purposes. Who's in the varsity slot at 7:30? That's right, the men's team. And sadly, for the Warrior men's team this particular year, they had a losing record and they were unranked. In my mind, I'm thinking, strike one. That may be a baseball analogy, but bear with me. Now, during the day, I am the CEO of one of the nation's premier women's leadership development organizations called Women Lead Change. So it's safe to say that I see the world through a gender lens. Every day, I talk about statistics like this one, specifically during COVID. 2 million women estimated to be out of the workforce. 100,000 senior level female leaders gone, many citing burnout. More than 80% of our constituents say they're suffering physical and other symptoms of anxiety and depression. That's my day. So at night, needless to say, like this big doubleheader, I am happy to take off those gender lenses just for a minute and escape into what promises to be a nail biter of a game. And boy, does it. It delivers back and forth. We're up, we're down, star players fouling, getting fouled. It went down to the last seconds of this game. And by then, I was thrilled. More people were beginning to fill in the gym, even though maybe it was to see the men's game. Fortunately, they got to see that last shot and then this. That's victory. And there's my daughter there in the top right, mouth open, bless her heart. She's just so reserved and shy, just like her mother, I suppose, but so excited. Such a thrilling victory. You got it. The Warrior women are victorious. So our team heads into the locker room to get cleaned up because they too want to cheer for the men's game, the men's team at 7:30. So Lucci, that's my daughter's name. She's 16 at the time. We call her Lucci. Her name's Luciana. She'll tell you it's Lucci, rhymes with Gucci. That's my shy daughter, don't forget. She joins us now in the stands with her teammates. And the announcer proceeds to ask us all to stand to sing the national anthem. You know, the national anthem that I thought I missed at the women's game. Well, no, because it's then my husband tells me, you didn't miss the national anthem at their game. They didn't play it before the women's game. What? Okay. Gender lenses right back on. But wait, there's more, because right after that, it's time for the men's starting lineups. And remember, I barely made it to the women's lineup in that empty gym. I kid you not. This is what happens. The lights come down. Spotlights, multiple spotlights start to dart across the ceiling and the floor. And then I hear the Alan Parsons Project. It starts to blare from the PA system. You may know the Alan Parsons Project song called Serious. That was the one that they played as Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls were announced at their home games. Yeah, that's what's playing. And I'm thinking to myself, lights, hype music, am I in the same gym? It was that stark of a contrast. A national anthem, for heaven's sakes, Chicago Bulls starting lineup hype, none of which we heard at the women's game. Okay, back to baseball, strike two. Now, Lucci, who knows her mom at the time, sees me mumble a few of my observations to my husband, who's now turning white because he knows what's about to happen. She's turning red and gives me the side eye, and not in a good way, as I make my way down the stands, carefully in the heels that carried me in there. And I laser in on the associate principal. By the way, a lovely human who has no idea what's coming his way. But then I very calmly lay out, let's just call them the inequities of this doubleheader. And he proceeds to apologize for the national anthem. That was an oversight and likely due to some technical difficulty. The schedule, however, the women in the JV slot, well, Mrs. O'Donnell, that's just how we've always done it. And now I'm paraphrasing. But among the reasons why, he tells me that they worry that if the girls played after the boys, that fans would leave once the boys' game was over, therefore walking out as the girls began to play, and that could hurt some feelings. So I take a deep breath. I thank him, and I promise to look for more equitable solutions in the future. And keep in mind, he truly is lovely. He really is. And I make my way back to the stands. At that point, friends, I had no idea that strike three was about to happen. And I have to tell you, this for me was the toughest one of all, truly. My daughter looks straight into my eyes and says, "What did you do?" Well, I explained the JV time slot, no national anthem, no starting lineup hype. She glares at me and says, "It's just the way it is, Mom. You are so extra." So parents of teenagers out there, you might want to ask them what that means. It may sound like it's a good thing, the word extra. It's actually not. In this context, being extra was not a good thing. You are so extra. That's what she tells me. So from my strong, powerful, confident, successful 16-year-old daughter, it's just the way it is, Mom. Basically, get over it. So my daughter, in her then 16 short years on this planet, one that I think I've raised her to be her own strong self, has already become part of a paradigm and a culture that reinforces women as less than. She sees it, and I know some of you see it, as just a game. That's how it is. No big deal. But is her work not as important? The hours that she spent in the gym when she could have been out with her friends or doing a variety of other things not as valuable? Is her determination and work ethic to get to this point not as remarkable? Well, if we use this doubleheader as an example, I will say, I'm sorry, but no, it's not, clearly. Raise your hand if you're with me in seeing the inequities of this game, or if you've seen inequities in games at your school or elsewhere for that matter. Now I want you to still keep it up there if at any moment you raised it at the beginning of this conversation when I mentioned those phrases. Now keep it up if you consider yourself an advocate for women. There are still quite a few of you with their hands up. I'm imagining this. And I believe you, like I, have the best intentions. But what I submit today is that what we say is important and matters, and what we're doing, friends, are two different things. The words and phrases that I mentioned all reinforce women as less than. Men and women say them. Grow a pair, cried like a girl, hit it with your purse. These imply male traits as strong and female traits as weak. And I could talk about some more graphic examples, but I better not for Veer being kicked off here. But think about what you hear when we talk about female traits versus male traits out there. And then I encourage you to check out Procter & Gamble's Run Like a Girl campaign. It takes that colloquial phrase to the next level. And then there's the all ever present, hey guys, harmless, right? But what are we reinforcing here? And please, I do it every day. Less and less, though, as I work to be intentional about saying things like, hi, everyone. Hi, all. Hi, friends. I'm still working on it. And I'm not suggesting here that this is going to be easy. Take, for example, the starting lineups. Well, that turns out you're looking at the tech crew. I went to Home Depot. I bought a couple spotlights. I downloaded the Alan Parsons Project and the song Serious. Now you have the athletic director for the girls' game turning down the lights while the announcer plays the song, and I run the lights. Hello, Chicago Bulls. I think it's important for context to explain what my daughter did differently after that game too. As annoyed as she really was listening, because that next year, she and some friends managed to advocate for a little more equity on the schedule. So now every other year, the women play at 7:30. That's progress. Now, I know there are people who will say you are extra. Some might even call me Karen today, but it's just a basketball game, lady, or it's just a simple phrase. But friends, do you notice how I work that in? We have to be willing to walk the walk. What we say and what we do must match up if we're truly going to affect the change we want to see in the world, if we're truly going to be those allies that many of us believe we are, and even more of us want to be. Our young women deserve to be raised in a culture that sees them for the incredible humans they are. So I challenge you to speak up, call out words and phrases that don't fit our culture today. Don't be mean about it. Just shine a light on it like we did today. You'd be surprised at how so many of us simply don't know what we don't know. And if advocating for equity in all things, words and deeds means that I'm extra, I guess I am. But it's my hope that you are too.